we don't really like to put any guardrails, I guess I'd say, on our writing. We kind of just come up with riffs that are inspired by tons of different music, and anything that sounds good, we kind of throw it in.
Welcome to the Dreams of Consciousness podcast. If you'd be so kind, would you mind introducing yourself?
Hi, my name's Alex Huddleston. I play bass and do vocals in the band Tithe.
And Alex, we spoke once before, a couple years ago, when Tithe released their previous album,
Inverse Rapture.
Inverse Rapture. That's correct. Thank you.
Yep.
Do you want to catch people up with what you guys have been up to since then?
Since then, we did a fair amount of touring and playing as many shows as we could. We wrote our third full length LP, Communion In Anguish, that we recorded at the beginning of this year. And since then, we've been preparing for promoting that album.
So, during our last conversation, it was you and your bandmate Matt. We had a long discussion about the origins of the band, as well as how you guys write songs. So, if anybody is curious about that stuff, they can check out the previous podcast that we did together. I'm curious. You guys described your music as a mix of death and black metal, a little bit of hyperactivity. Do you feel like that's still true?
Yeah, I'd say that's still true. I think with a lot of the newer songs, we've kind of gone more, I guess, death grindy. So we still have like elements of black metal, but we don't really like to put any guardrails, I guess I'd say, on our writing. We kind of just come up with riffs that are inspired by tons of different music, and anything that sounds good, we kind of throw it in.
Yeah. Do you guys feel like you're not restricted to one genre, that you guys can pull in as many different influences as you want into your music?
Yeah, I'd say that. If I had to put a label on it, I'd say it's definitely leaning more towards death grind with this newer record, but there's definitely elements of black metal, doom, D beat, stuff like that thrown in as well.
Right. We spoke last time about the writing process for the band. I believe Matt comes up with a lot of the riffs. Was that true again for this album?
Yeah, this time I've kind of taken more of another step forward with writing. Matt still wrote a lot, like a large part of the album, but there was several songs on this one I came up with riffs for, wrote lyrics for, and whatnot.
Okay. Is your process of arranging the same as it was before? Do you guys arrange together in the rehearsal space, or are you demoing stuff on your own with like a DAW or something like that?
We still definitely do a majority of the writing in the rehearsal space. With this album, we all kind of started learning how to do home recording, and before doing the actual final recording, we did sort of a demo scratch recording, and I think it streamlined the process of writing a lot.
Streamline the process how?
Just being able to hear everything recorded made it a lot easier to weed out parts we didn't like, see what worked and what didn't. Even though it wasn't the final mix or master or anything, it definitely helped a lot with, finding our footing and what we wanted the songs to sound like, essentially.
Right. Do you feel like your demos are pre-pro?
Yeah, they were definitely like pre-production.
Right. In terms of the added death grind element to your music, or the emphasis on that style, do you feel a lot of it came from your contributions?
Both me and Matt love a lot of the grind elements of it. We wanted this record to be a lot more aggressive and gnarly sounding, so we decided to throw a lot more of that in this time. And this record's the first time I've ever done vocals recorded, so we threw kind of a lot of the different grind, two different distinct vocal style element type stuff in with the songs on this album.
Right. So I think you're handling the lower vocals and Matt's handling the higher screams.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that maybe like a carcass type thing?
Yeah, exactly. Like Carcass, Exhume, like Disrupt, stuff like that. I've always liked the two very distinct styles that can kind of weave in and out of each other. In the past, Matt tried to kind of do two separate styles, but just having two different people with distinct vocal styles, I think, came out a lot better and a lot stronger on this album.
Right. Is it easier to pull off live when you guys take turns screaming? I mean,
Oh, absolutely. It takes a lot of the pressure off of Matt doing all the vocals, and it's a lot more fun on my part being able to belt out a lot of the different parts.
had you done vocals before in different projects?
I've dabbled with it, but I've never really laid down vocals seriously. This is the first album I've ever recorded vocals to, so
What did you learn from doing vocals for this album?
doing vocals was actually probably the easiest part of the recording process for me. As far as learning how to do it and the style I wanted to do, a lot of it was just trial and error and trying to like emulate different sounds I liked. And a lot of it was honestly just practicing in my car, driving to and from work and whatnot. Yeah.
A lot of reverb in the car, right?
Yep. So, yeah, it's like the best, most like private place to practice. You're not really bothering the neighbors or embarrassing yourself in front of anyone. So,
Right. It's like a moving sound booth.
yep.
We spoke a little bit about your approach to playing bass. I think Matt described you as a bass player who plays like a bass player. You mentioned Alex Webster as an influence.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. What would you say the role of the bass is in Tithe's music?
I like to kind of hold the roots down for the most part. Like I kind of take like you were saying, the Alex Webster approach, where I believe he said like 90+% of his playing is, following the guitar part, and then you have that 10-ish% where you can dance around, throw fills in, add some flair. I kind of take the same approach.
Do you play with a pick or do you use your fingers?
I play finger style.
Okay. All the fingers, like Trujillo?
I do like a 3-finger technique, and for kind of depending on the tempo, I'll switch to like a 2-finger walking style. But for fast tremolo parts, I found it was easier for me to do the like 3-finger technique.
So, you guys, as you mentioned, recently recorded a new album called Communion In Anguish, which will be released on September 19th through Profound Lore Records. The last time we spoke, you guys had already started writing material for this album. How fast did it come together? When were you guys actually finished with the arranging side of things?
As far as writing, it we were kind of making changes all the way up until probably about a month before we went into the studio to record it. That's kind of where a lot of the pre-production stuff came in. We actually found riffs. We found like they didn't work as well for what we were going for, and we'd kind of pull stuff out, rework stuff. As far as the general structure of songs, we kind of had everything together except I think for one song, probably a few months in advance before we went in.
Did you spend more time on the arranging side of this album than on your previous albums?
I'd say it was about the same amount of time. I think it was a lot more focused, though. We kind of knew like what we were going for, and we're able to spend more time directly working on those parts.
You mentioned that you contributed to the lyrics this time around. Do you want to talk about themes or subject matter that inspired you?
As far as the lyric subject matter, it's kind of more of what we've always written about, like mental health struggles and humans kind of being shitty to one another. But with this album, we took more of like a modern day, like what we see happening in the news as inspiration. I guess it's more of like, it's like a way of processing what we see going on, like shitty things happening in the news.
Right. It seems like war and religion comes up a few times in the lyrics.
Yeah, definitely that. And there's two songs about substance abuse. The starting track, Nostrum, is actually about the fentanyl crisis currently happening. And the ending track, Burn the Throne of God, is about alcoholism and seeing Matt's neighbor essentially drink himself to death.
Wow. I'm curious what your writing process is like for the lyrics. Do you have a subject matter in mind when you start writing riffs, or do you wait till the song has come together before you start coming up with vocal patterns and lyrics?
We wait till we have the instrumental structure kind of built out, and then the lyrics are usually the last part. We found it just makes it easier to come up with vocal patterns that work with the guitars and everything.
Right. And probably once you've played a song a few times and you're more familiar with it, it's easier to come up with vocal patterns, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that and playing at the same time while doing vocals, it's nice to just have the full song structure laid out already.
Since this was your first time doing vocals in the studio, did you learn anything about like breath control and finding places to inhale while you were doing vocals?
Oh yeah, that was definitely probably the hardest part for me during the recording process. Yeah, I've kind of found spots where to inhale on all the songs, and I transferred that to like playing live. So definitely recording the albums helped as far as that goes.
Yeah. I always think about like, some of the Slayer songs where it's just Tom Araya screaming for an entire, like for 4 bars straight, without any breaks, like how he pulled that off.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that it was his guitarist who were writing the lyrics for him, and so they probably didn't think about like at some point he's gonna have to take a breath.
Yeah.
Where did you guys end up recording this album?
We recorded with Keith Marrow at his home studio, Marrow Sound Studios.
Is this the first time that you guys worked with Keith?
It is. We when we were deciding, we wanted to go with someone new for this album just to mix things up. We had recorded everything else with the guy that did not only the EP but our two other full lengths. So we just wanted to explore a bit and see if we could find someone that could get us a slightly different sound. And Keith was at the top of our short list. So
Why was he at the top of your short list? What was it about Keith and the previous bands that he worked with that you wanted to bring into Tithe?
we just liked the sound of a lot of his solo work. And I've been a fan of like his YouTube channel for a long time. I've been watching his videos just when I was growing up playing and whatnot. Not only that, he's relatively local to us. He lives out in Newburgh, which is like, I don't know, 45 minutes outside of Portland.
The last time we spoke, you guys mentioned that you were considering recording to a click track. Did that end up working out for you guys?
Yeah, we did end up using that. That was the first time we've done that with this band. And I think it shows in the tightness of the recording. It's a lot more dialed in, at least in my opinion.
Right. Was it a hard adjustment, or did it feel pretty natural for you guys?
It felt pretty natural, and doing the whole pre-production recording process, we were practicing to the click for weeks before we went in with Keith.
Right. So you guys were pretty tight by the time you guys were in the studio.
Yeah.
In terms of Keith, what did you want him to bring to the finished sound?
We wanted everything to sound more like honed in. Like, we, not necessarily saying anything bad about our previous albums. I think they sound great and big, but it wasn't, for lack of a better word, like tight and like punchy. It was more just kind of big and cavernous, I guess I'd say. We really wanted that like heavy hitting, punchy kind of tone.
I mean, in some ways, this reminds me more of like an old '90s death metal album. You know, like it's very. I don't want to use the word compressed, but it has like that, I guess, tightness to it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd say that's kind of what we were going for. Yeah, like I think like the production on our last two was kind of more, I don't know, more doomy in a sense, but yeah, this it punches a lot more.
Right. Do you feel like this is a? I mean, we spoke about having more death grind on this album, but do you feel like this is a faster, maybe a more immediate album than the previous ones?
Yeah, there's still some slower parts in a couple of the songs, but we've kind of moved away from a lot of the slower passages. It's definitely a lot more like blazing fast, blast beaty a large portion of the time.
Was that conscious, or was it just the way that you guys ended up, based on the material that you guys came up with?
I think it's just the direction our songwriting's drifted in. We have more fun playing that type of stuff. It's nice having slower breaks in our songs, or the heavy doomy stuff, but we just kind of wanted to dial back on it a little bit.
Right. When you guys ended up touring and promoting the previous album, who did you end up playing with? What kind of bands?
As far as touring for the last album, we did a few weeks out in the Midwest and East Coast. That was like a headlining tour for us. So we were playing with mostly local bands in each city. We did a run with Mizmor, and we did a run with our friend's band Volnare, and a handful of other shorter runs scattered in between too.
I mean, Mizmor is like a blackened sludge kind of thing, right? Like, just very, yeah.
Yeah, they're very like blackened, doomy.
Is that something you look for, or is it just that you're friends with Mizmor?
We actually randomly got that opportunity thrown our way. I hadn't really talked to any of the Mizmor guys before, but it was something they were looking for support, and it worked out timing wise for us. So,
I mean, was the audience receptive to it?
oh yeah, definitely.
Either your audience for them or their audience for you?
Yeah, it seemed like the audience was very receptive to those shows. I think there's a lot of crossover even between like doom and faster stuff. Like I know some people kind of only like one, tempo or style of music, but I think at least within like the more extreme metal genres, a lot of people like all sorts of stuff. So I mean, there was plenty of moshing and whatnot on those shows. So
Right. I mean, you guys have had a lot of sludge on some of the earlier releases, right?
yeah, we definitely got it to some sludgier breaks in our past two albums.
Yeah. And when the album is released, I think you guys will be playing a show with Conan.
Yeah, that show is September 18th. That's actually the day before the album comes out, but we will be selling the new album at that show and playing most of the new album, I believe.
Cool. How did the show with Conan come about?
Our drummer Kevin has actually been a fill-in for Conan on a few of their tours now.
That's wild.
So there's a connection there, and it just lined up perfectly with the album release we were given. So
Tell them I'm trying to get them on the podcast. I was going through the record label and suddenly the email stopped coming back.
oh yeah, right on. Yeah.
Pass the word along.
Definitely.
So we're coming to the fall. Do you guys have any tours lined up or any plans for tours for the rest of the year or maybe the beginning of 2026?
Yeah, we have a short run coming up early November that hasn't been announced yet. That's going to be more just West Coast. And then we have a festival at the end of November that hasn't been announced yet. But coming into 2026, we really want to hit it hard with touring and hopefully hit a lot of places we haven't played before. Maybe get out to Europe.
So by the time people hear this episode, Communion in Anguish will be out through Profound Lore Records. Alex, please tell everyone how they can order the album. What's the best way to get it?
You can get it on the Profound Lore web store or our Bandcamp, tithepdx.bandcamp.com, I believe.
And do you want to say anything about the vinyl versions that Profound Lore is putting out for this? I believe there are two, right?
Yeah, there is a standard black version, and I don't remember what the color is called, but it's more like a crimson red with streaks of black through it. Looks really cool.
And does all your merch go through the Bandcamp page?
Yeah, all of our merch you can find on our Bandcamp.
And if people want to get updates on the band and find out about the tours that you mentioned, what's the best way to follow the band online?
We post everything on our Instagram page. That's at tithe.pdx.
Alex, is there anything else you want to say?
Check out the new album. It's definitely a step above our old stuff. I think a lot of people are going to like it. It's a completely new direction for us with me jumping in on vocals, and it's some of the best material we've written.
Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, thank you. Hmm. Definitely.